Muy buenos dias. Good morning. I hope you are well, staying positive and focused on what you can control. Welcome, everyone joining us local, near, and far. Please drop in the comment section where you are tuning in from. Use this Cafecito con HACE as an opportunity to network and to connect with one another. My name is Patricia Mota, and I serve as president and CEO of HACE, the Hispanic Alliance for Career Enhancement, national nonprofit whose mission since 1982 is to positively impact workplaces by cultivating the pipeline of Latino, Latinx, Latina talents from across the nation and providing our community the insight, access, and support to be successful in their careers. A few announcements. If you haven't applied or looked at any of our leadership development programs, we've got quite a few offerings this fall. Deadlines are quickly approaching. Those programs include our Mujeres de HACE, our Latina Leadership Program, our inaugural Hombres de HACE, a Latino male-focused program, our Multicultural Leadership Program, our Emerging Latino Leaders focused in cybersecurity in partnership with Trellix, so those interested in cybersecurity. And check it out and make sure that you don't miss the deadlines for those applications, and know that scholarships are available as well. If you are looking for your next career opportunity, we're going to have a great charla here today about opportunities with an agency here in the state of Illinois. But we also have Diversity in Sports event on July 26th. That's next week, believe it or not, with the Major League Baseball, with Major League Soccer, and the Chicago Bears. So they've got some great opportunities for you. And then our virtual career fair on August 15th. So all of this will be in the comment section. And also go to aceonline.org for more information on how to sign up. So I'm excited for today's conversation with our special guest, Ivia Ortega, who is the recruiter at the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services. Ivia, buenos dias, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. I have my cafecito. And with that, what do you prefer to drink or prepare your coffee? Or is it something else?
No, it's definitely coffee. usually black and with sugar, unless I need a really stronger kick that day. And then I hit the cappuccinos.
Cappuccinos. Yeah, if I'm not doing a regular coffee, I like the lattes, so mix it up every now and then, but my typical is the black coffee. So same here. Ivia, I'm thrilled to have you with us because you've been a longtime partner with HACE. I also have the honor to serve on the Illinois Latino Employment Plan Council as a commissioner with, I know, chaired by Jose Munoz, led by my tocaya, Patricia Santoyo Marin, and many other great leaders that are really ensuring that we're doing all that we can, advising that there is more Latinos not only working for these agencies, but at key roles. So I'm excited to have you, who is in it every single day, to talk about who you are, your professional cultural background, and how you got to being a recruiter. Tell us.
Well, I am Puerto Rican, first generation in Chicago, and I kind of fell into it. Actually, it was funny because I, back in the day when I was graduating high school, I didn't have a lot of guidance as far as college or anything. It was just more focused on just get through high school, right? So I eventually put myself through a little program to learn office skills. And then my first office job was for an insurance company, a little insurance agency. And ever since then, every job I've had has dealt in some capacity with different types of benefits and retirement savings, financial plans, things like that.
Yeah, because you're not just a recruiter; you do an HR specialization as well, right?
Yes,
so that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, so that HR background helped get me to this point, thankfully. And then eventually worked my way in. I've been with the state for 16 years, and made my way over to DCFS during that time, and have happily been able to, do this recruitment position, which is by far my favorite one to date. I love being able to go out and talk to the public about different opportunities. Hopefully always a good fit with DCFS, but if not, I'm more than willing to talk to them about what else they can go for with the state agencies. So
DCFS, so the Department of Family and Children Services. Say that like 5 times.
Right?
DCFS, and such a critical agency. I know there's a ton of agencies in the state of Illinois, but this one, I mean, it's just some amazing work that's being done. And we talked this year, our theme is around HACE United. It's accelerating equity with action and accountability. It's ensuring that we're doubling down with our partners, whether they're employers, whether they're other nonprofit organizations, to ensure that we're moving the needle a little bit faster, especially in this day and age. So what are some of the initiatives that DCFS is taking to ensure that you all are administering and accelerating equity?
Well, the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services, they've always had this they're committed to equity and inclusion, right? One of the things that we know as an agency is that we are best when we're able to reflect the various cultures and ethnicities that we serve, right? So we want to show that in our staffing levels. So part of that is, we do all kinds of different events. We're out in the community all the time. We'll do everything from job fairs to local festivals, just to connect with the public in general, and hopefully, give them a better sight of DCFS, and what all services that we provide. Different, not just the jobs that we always trying to fill, the social welfare, which is definitely important, but also, the services that we have for people who want to become foster parents, and help in that goal of the agency. And part of that is also that we have this wonderful area that we created, which is the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And they have this wonderful goal of ensuring that the agency itself is reflective of those entities that we serve. So, we've got like a chief of Latin American Affairs, a chief of Asian American Affairs, chief of Native American Affairs, LGBTQI plus, just to name a few off the top, but again, their focuses are of what can we do to be reflective and be of better service to the public and be able to relate to them in their different, because every culture is different, every ethnicity is different. We all have different values, and we want to be reflective of that so that, we can connect with them on a better level.
Yeah, no, you mentioned quite a few just excellent examples, even having a key leader to help with key communities. You mentioned the chief LGBTQ, you mentioned, just so many, and you said there's many more. I think is powerful to say and to be able to have that. And we're in Chicago, and you mentioned festivals. It's festival season, right?
Yes.
What are some of the Latino ones did you attend any recently?
Yes, I actually, just a great part is relating to the diversity, equity, and inclusion aspect of DCFS is we were at Lake County Pride Fest, Springfield Pride Fest.
Oh, okay.
This weekend, we're going to be at Fiesta del Sol in Chicago.
I was waiting for that one. That's the big one, right? Fiesta del Sol.
So we're really excited about that too. We're going to have a whole group of us come on by, talk to the recruiters. We're going to be there.
Yeah.
So it's great.
And then you said another thing is like, you're not just recruiting for roles, you're also promoting the services, right? That the community, if they need access to the services that you all are providing, and being in the community at these key events, I think building those relationships is super critical to be able to build that rapport and that trust where folks are reaching out, they're asking questions and feel comfortable. And I'm sure, Ivia, you've gotten, your long list of folks that have reached out after, or even, that are talking to you during these events because of that, right? I think when I worked at a community college, I was doing a lot of local recruiting events in the community, and they wouldn't just ask you about education. They'd be asking you for everything. Like, where I get health services, right? Once you build that
Exactly.
rapport in the relationship, or help with my finances and so on and so on. So that's why it's so critical. Those of you tuning in, if you have any questions or have any experiences you want to share, please do. We'll have some time for questions for Ivia, but of course, the videos stay here, so if there's something we don't get to, we'll be able to go back to it, and make sure that you can connect with Evia as well. So my next question for you is, you mentioned some of the programs and expanding the hiring practices. Can you expand on that? I know you talked. There was a great opportunity for folks to leverage, because sometimes it can be, well, not sometimes, but it is a little different sometimes applying for agency jobs, right, with government. And it's important that if we're interested in these types of opportunities, to be informed of what that looks like.
Absolutely. We are always, again, going out to various events, but we don't limit them to just in-person events. We do virtual events. We'll go into classrooms and talk to students about the future. We've done classroom presentations even for high school students, just to let them know, hey, this is a career path that's available to you if you're interested. Um, we go to festivals. We try to get the word out to local churches and work with legislators to, if they're hosting an event they'd like us to attend, we are happy to do so. Um, we also do monthly webinars, where we talk to the public about, this is how you apply, and here's things to watch out for when you're applying, and making sure that you're including certain types of information, and what to expect during the interview. What are those like? Because we know it's very different for state of Illinois application process and interviewing process than it is for what people would see during a typical one in private sector. And so we try to educate the public about how to do that. Um, we have the next webinar coming up in September. It's September 7th from 11 to 1.
Okay.
Completely free. We do these every month. The exception is August, because we're a little inundated with August, but otherwise,
You're at all the festivals, that's why.
we're at all the festivals in August. We're spent a little bit, just trying to get out there. And but yeah, definitely, if they want to join, they can register, and we will send them the connection information, and they can, jump on. They get a chance to, after we do our presentation part, to ask any questions they might have. If the recruiters don't know the answer, maybe it's something like you said, they're looking for services we don't necessarily know. All that information, we will take their information down. We will get the information to them, or get them to the area they need to talk to. So it's, if I don't know and you catch us at a festival, we're going to take your information down and get somebody to get in touch with you, or tell you this is where you got to reach out to. So we do our best to try to, even though our expertise is recruiting for positions, we try to be as helpful as we can. We want to make sure that everybody's getting information to help themselves too.
Yeah, I have a feeling, Ivia, you're gonna, folks, if you want to go find her at Fiesta del Sol this week, to go look for Ivia. I think, this webinar is not limited to the process for the state of Illinois, but it's relevant for agencies in the application process across, right? Like outside. So not just the state of Illinois.
Yeah. So it's actually not limited to just DCFS, even though we highlight our titles. And of course, we're always looking for people to come and help us out in child welfare. That information that we provide, they can use for different state of Illinois agencies. I want to say there's close to 100 of us. That's not an exact count. I think we're close to it. So most of them will use the same process. So that it kind of gives you a leg up if let's say you're not necessarily in the realm of the various positions that DCFS is hiring for. We're not opposed to you getting onboarding with a sister agency of ours. You may find that in the future, your career path may lead you to us, and so, because there's a lot of wonderful benefits that we have, including like tuition reimbursement programs for people who maybe they're not ready for social work right now, but it's a calling that they have. That's something that they can work on through that program, getting the degrees that they need to move on over and hopefully join us, right? And then I want to make sure that I mention, because we were talking about the Latino focused festivals that we have coming up. that we are always looking for child welfare professionals, especially those that are fluent, bilingual in Spanish, that can read, speak, and write it fluently on a colloquial level. And we do pay for that extra skill set. So if you're utilizing that skill set, you are given 5% more above the base of your salary. So definitely a bonus to being able to have that skill set and coming to work for us.
Being bilingual in Spanish and English, such a need. I have so many, we'll see if there's any questions from the audience. I have so many questions. Just I know my sister worked at social work at some point in her career, and the stories that you would hear. One of our colleagues at HACE, she has a background in having worked in social work, and it's just such critical work, right? That I just commend folks that are in that field so much. And I'm curious to know like what trends I have so many questions, so let's see if we have any questions from the audience, and while we wait for that, any advice that you would have for folks that perhaps are looking to transit, because we got folks that are either starting off in their career or that are further along and maybe are looking for a transition, because you have opportunities all across the board, right?
Yes, we have. Yeah. We're not just about the case managers, investigators, our direct care staff that we're kind of known for, but we do have what I like to refer to as behind the scenes. So only because they're not so much well known by the public, but they exist. So we have everything from buildings and grounds laborers, clericals, all the way up to paralegals, nurses, and attorneys. They are all part of DCFS. So we have a plethora of opportunities for career paths. It's a way to kind of, in my eyes, I say it's a way to help families and children in need. If you're not maybe of the calling of directly into social work, but you want to be having a career path that will lend to that, that's great. Join behind the scenes. I'm in human resources. Again, I support those people in the field that have that calling, that answer that calling, that are so important to helping those children that are at risk and in need of that help.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, have you, for as long as you've been here, seen an increase of that need? Or is that looking at trends across the board, would you say?
I can say that I have been informed that there were, as the population increases, there are increases in that as well. So yeah, there's definitely a need for that. We also have increased the head count. And one of the tenets of DCFS is that diversity, right?
Yeah.
It's super important to Director Smith to have our staffing levels reflect that. So we are increased the head count to allow for that reflection to serve that increase in cases. So yes, unfortunately, there's been an increase overall. And we're increasing the headcount to answer those calls, right?
Yeah, and for interviewing, one tip that you would provide for those that would go through the interviewing process.
So with the state of Illinois' process for interviewing, one of the caveats is that if it doesn't come out of your mouth, we can't take the information down. So even if we've seen your resume, we're not allowed to transpose the information ourselves. So that's one major item that when you're interviewing,
that is major.
The state of Illinois employment, for example, if you're telling me, I have a master's in social work, but you don't say it during the interview and answering a question that pertains to your education, I can't put that down as the interviewer. So it's very important that your answers contain the information that you'd like us to consider when we're scoring your interview answers later.
So that was a major point. If you don't say it in the interview, it's not, even if it's on the resume, it doesn't apply. So make sure you say it. And that's something we talk a lot about at HACE. My colleague Lisandra, social work or public service work related can be a heavy burden on mental health and the heart. How do you balance the mental load and would recommend for those that are in this type of work?
So I've actually worked with some of our social work staff that have come over and worked in human resources. And what I've understood by having conversations with them, it's a lot of having to understand that you are responsible for your self-care. So while the agency provides things like personal support programs, and trainings and tips and tricks of ways to kind of take care of yourself in the end. And this is really hard for those in social work because again, that's the calling for them, right? They want to help. They tend to forget to take care of themselves too. So it's very important that you're remembering to take that time for yourself, whether it's, hey, go get a massage, go get a mani-pedi, take some time out and go have fun with your family. Those things, it sounds very
meet with a therapist, whatever you got to do to make sure. Or if it's weighing too heavy, I know a lot of folks in social work that have transitioned to HR after a certain time, but there is a need for social work, and it's about focusing on what you can control. One last question on a positive note: what are you most hopeful for? And then we'll wrap it up.
I'm hopeful for seeing a lot of the areas that we have that really need that social work, those staffing levels to increase. I'm hopeful that I will start to see those vacancies being filled. And because I know that, for every vacancy there, that means that there's another staff that's taking on a heavier workload. So for me, I'm very hopeful, especially with all the increase in outreach that we've been doing, to see those filled. I'm also extremely hopeful to see a lot of more bilingual staff in the social work field, because I do see that there's kind of a downturn overall in people entering the social work career path, and especially for bilingual staff as well. So it's hopeful, fingers crossed, that we see an increase.
I mean, there's a generation, that's here and that's coming, that's all about wanting to give back to community. And so this could be an aspect of a way to do that. Ivia, thank you for your time, your insights, and for sharing. Everyone, continue to engage in the chat. And until next time, hasta la próxima, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Ivia.